I'm going to add on our next guest, and the next guest is none other than the author of the "Do What You Want" uh, uh, Bad Religion book, the story of Bad Religion, Mr. Jim Ruland. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Hey,
Can
how
you
are
hear me?
you?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Very good.
Just
Very good.
just doing a little light reading. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'll give the bylines and the bios. Everyone should be aware. You wrote for Flipside. Now, did side question? And I'm not even going to get into it, but did you do any articles tied to Bad Religion with Flipside?
No, no. I didn't start writing for Flipside until the 90s.
Oh, okay. All right. So they were probably moving on from print to online at that point. Wrote the Keith Morris book with My Damage, and obviously the Bad Religion book, which is why we have Jim here. So I was trying to craft a storyline here with as far as talking about the book. I'm more curious about the how we got to where we're at now, from where this started. And there was a line in the book that I highlighted that kind of summarized. Number one, the last chapter really was a nice coda or tagline for a career so far for a band. But there was a line in the that I highlighted. It says, "Bad Religion represents nothing less than the marriage of punk rock protests and intellectual inquiry." So I thought that was you summed it up nicely on there with regards to cramming in 40 years of history into a sentence. I just
Yeah,
wanted to point
there's
that out.
they've done so much that no one sentence really does it justice.
Right, right. Um, and I find it funny because there were a couple of things that I learned about after reading the book, and one of them is a funny observation, and you can joke around about it. But the one thing I kind of picked up on is you don't really realize uh, after reading any book about any band or biography is how much drama or how much stuff is involved that people don't hear about, that doesn't get out or it doesn't have to get out. So I'm sure if that's something if that was something you two also, because I think of Bad Religion, I don't think of a band that throwing tables outside of hotel doors, like like the '80s metal bands or anything like that. So I don't know if that was something that you kind of discovered on this journey for writing the book.
Well, it's
That
funny.
even though they, yeah,
Towards the end, I was talking with Jay Bentley, and
mm,
we were wrapping up a conversation. We were standing in a parking lot, and he said, "There's just so much in the book, and so much that's not." And I
right,
think that it tells the story about religion through the eyes of the four principal characters in the book. Greg and Brett and Jay and Brian. And at the same time, it's hardly exhaustive. I think they could each go on to write memoirs on their own if they chose to do so. I mean, Greg, you could
yeah,
say already has, but there's so much more to tell. I mean, you could do a whole book just about warp tour stories. Um,
yeah.
one
I picked
thing
up
that
on that.
one thing they said at the very beginning is that they were very aware of the NoFX book and how people were drawn to it because of its sleaze. And I personally love that book. It's probably my favorite punk rock book. It's just so gnarly, right?
Hmm.
But they didn't want that kind of book.
Right. Yeah, they wanted more like a something they could leave behind. Like uh, I think it's a good starting point for a lot of people that are. I mean, each new album comes out, new people are introduced. I think it's a good primer um, for people that are just now getting into the band that don't realize how much history.
Yeah, and there's
Um,
so much more that could have been written about the albums and the tours. I think the band members requested less stuff about the tours just because it feels redundant to them.
Right.
and and I also try to be cognizant of the fact that for each record that we were discussing, it's somebody's favorite album, and
Hmm.
so I never wanted to lose sight of that.
Right. And the one I guess humorous observation I there was something in the book that you mentioned that basically Bad Religion is responsible for creating indirectly responsible for creating Hot Topic.
Oh, through the long chain of yeah, well, yeah, I wouldn't put it quite that way, but yeah, yeah. I mean,
Mm,
Greg has spoken at length about the democratization of punk rock and how that happened at the same time as the rise of esports and things like that, and all of those things made that possible.
right. So you talk about in the notes at the end, and in a couple of interviews that I've read and seen online about this mixtape, and I was taken back. I guess that's where we are now. That's where we get. We got the book essentially from a mixtape that was introduced to you by a skinhead
Hmm.
Navyman, right?
Yeah,
Navy
that's
Marine.
right.
Yep. So it just kind of made me reflect on how that impacts even a simple little mixtape can do so much down the road. And I'm kind of reflecting on all these mixtapes I made for myself and for other people. So I'm wondering if were there other bands that on there that gave a similar effect that you still listen to today on that tape?
Well, who else was on that tape? It was Social Distortion, Mommy's Little Monster. That
Mm.
is probably the only Social Distortion record that I go back to with any kind of regularity. But man, it's a good one.
Right.
And then there was the Dickies and the Freeze, which I don't know why a Boston band would be on a mixtape with three other ones. But you know what? I didn't know anything about anything back then,
Yeah.
right? I just knew that I really liked these songs.
Yeah. I was trying to piece together a timeline, and so I know that the uh, Age of Unreason album came out in May of last year. I remember seeing early press on the book and at the start of the new year, and the book was released in August. So um, did did the book come about prior to the release of the album or after?
Just after, I believe.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah, so it was 7 months, 6 months to write once that opportunity came towards you.
but
Um,
I mean, I was in the studio with for quite a bit when they were
mhm,
recording that album,
mhm.
and
I guess that yeah.
that was a really, as you probably are aware, like all the band members live in different parts, and not all in Southern California anymore. So a time to get everybody together was at gigs, but they're working and really busy, or recording, and with the vibe in a studio is that not everybody works at the same time. There's always people who are hanging around, waiting for to do their bit, and it was a great
Right.
time to interview people and get stories.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably the best time to lock everyone down and kind of lock them in a room and say, "All right, let's talk."
And then also to corroborate things because people will say something and they'll be like, "Oh no, you're full of shit. It was this other tour or this or that." Um, so that whole
Yeah,
collective memory at work.
yeah. There's a comment in here I want to share real quick. Jim, what was your rate in the Navy? I guess ranking. I'm a HM2, and it's pretty rare in my experience to come across someone in the military who is really into punk. I
Well,
wouldn't
it's
disagree.
kind of funny because just last week or 2 weeks ago, I got two emails from sailors in the Navy who were big Bad Religion fans. So
Yeah,
kind of a weird thing.
yeah.
But I was a
I don't.
bosun mate, and
Okay.
I wasn't in for very long. So I came in and as a deck seaman, and I figured if I was going to make petty officer, I didn't want to be I was on a ship, so I didn't want to be the bottom man on the totem pole in somebody else's department. So I just stayed in deck division and became a bosun mate, and that's
Um,
it.
yeah, were there challenges? I mean, outside of stuff I'm not going to bring up that was obvious, but were there challenges in dealing with what's the word I want to use? Dealing with like it looks like you reached out to a lot of the former members and a lot of the people tied to the band. Were there challenges in organizing your research, I guess, for the book and trying to get everyone? I guess now, not maybe now, not nowadays, not because of Facebook and social media. You can just write them and get answers to questions. But I would figure, in my head, I imagine a writer going and researching and visiting people and taking notes. But I would imagine nowadays that's not the same.
Well, yeah, because I was working with the band itself, they were able to put me in touch with contacts they'd had with former members, and um, there was really the only people I didn't reach out to were the two gentlemen who were on Into the Unknown,
Mm-hmm.
because it was such a their time in the band was such a short thing, and they were I think they were both jazz musicians, and so it wasn't all that unusual for them to be playing what they did, and you know.
Yeah, they were all kind of off the grid. I mean, you don't see much, at least online from. I think you're talking about Davey Goldman and
That's right.
the Dona. I remember seeing an article. He was like he was out in the country.
Yeah, I think
Doing his
like
thing.
Davey was actually in a band with Jay, like a bedroom band before
Mm-hmm.
Bad Religion,
Yeah.
um, just a neighborhood thing.
Yeah.
I think they were just like jazz guys from the school or the neighborhood.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who was from the main principals? Who was most helpful in getting your info together?
Well,
Uh,
I mean, everybody was great. People went out of their way to talk to me, and but all the drummers were fantastic. I mean, they didn't hold back, and there was nothing. No one told me anything that I had to go back and say, oh well, shit, that wasn't true. They were very honest and very forthright, and because they're no longer in the band, they didn't have to do it. I love talking with Bobby.
mm-hmm.
He's
He's a
just a
historian at heart.
Yeah, and he knows so much, and he has such a great memory and has so many great stories that I really enjoyed my time with him. I spent a couple of days with him just because I like hanging out with him, and in fact we hung out, one time at a punk rock karaoke in Long Beach one night.
Hmm.
So I really liked hanging out with Bobby. He's probably do that again.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. He's probably going to be a wealth of information, not even only for that, but for other projects. Down the road.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got an incredible memory.
Um, it's funny. I in looking you up, I looked through a little bit through your blog and some of the stuff that you've been writing about. I I noticed that I guess climate change is a big cause or concern that you champion, right? I mean, maybe I took that the wrong way. There was
No, I
there
mean,
was a
I mean,
there
up
was a
until I think Trump's election, where everything became, an emergency and everything
mm,
was on fire, that climate change is the big thing that we need to address as a citizens of the planet, or
yeah.
else it's not going to be habitable for very long.
Yeah, I remember I read one post where it says you made Greg Graffin climate czar, and I started trying to fantasy book everyone else.
Oh yeah, I wrote what I would do if I was president, and
Yes, yes.
yeah. So
So I
I
was
only gave out two positions, and that's to Greg and to Alice Bagg, who can be in charge of whatever she wants to be in charge of. But the first punk rock laureate, I think she'd be a good choice for that.
I was trying to find positions for the other people in the band, and I figured Brett would be vice president. He's got an executive mindset, I guess.
I don't
Um,
know. I might just put him in charge of. I don't know what's the most powerful position, so he can do the work, and then I wouldn't have to.
mm, yeah, that's a tough one. Unless other, well, you'd already be president. Yeah, I guess Secretary of State would be the next best one.
Yeah.
I put Brian as Secretary of State because he could schmooze the foreign dignitaries, and he comes across as someone who's who has a good sense of humor, sarcasm. I
Hmm.
don't know. So he
Hmm.
could probably, kind of bust the balls of the foreign people, the
Yep.
dignity.
Or put him in charge of the CIA so he can settle some scores.
So the book released in August, and it's probably got a international rollout. I guess. How many countries is the book available in now? Would you happen to know? Or
Well, right now, just Germany, but just this month it's going to be rolling out in, well, there's a UK edition, so obviously that'll be in English,
mm,
just a few extra vowels. And it's going to be coming out in Brazil in Portuguese. It's going to be coming out in Italy later this month. We already have a review in a magazine in Italy, if you can believe it.
hmm.
And it's going to come out in Spain, but I don't in Spanish, but I don't know the details about that one.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there was a language, maybe a translation. You're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Like
Yeah, I mean, we
Finnish.
get, the band gets requests from publishing companies all over the world. Sometimes they come to me and I forward them along. So yeah.
I actually learned as a fan, I learned, and this is the reason why I threw on this shirt. Something else I was reading up on, that the photographer of this photo took the Ed Culver took this photo, but it wasn't the band. And
No.
I, yeah, I all these years I always thought it was the band, and I never bothered to look it up or research it. And lo and behold, it's random people.
Well,
So
actually, they're all friends of the photographer at the time. They're all kids from West Covina, some of whom were in bands. West Covina being east of the San Gabriel Valley, east of the San Fernando Valley.
and I wanted to right in the middle of this, I thought it would be. We have a copy of the book or two to give away, and I wanted to see if anyone online that's watching right now, the first person that can guess this correctly,
Oh,
would get a copy of the book, um, if they don't have it already. Let's see if I can find it, and you'll probably get a chuckle out of this. I think it's this one. I came across this picture that you drew a couple of years ago. So I want to see if there's anyone that's watching right now who knows what this reference is exactly. What this reference is, they're going to get a copy of the book, and I'll get it out to you.
well, there's a lot of references in there.
Oh, well, there's a Meeseeks and
Do we want
no
punk rock or pop culture?
punk rock, I guess.
I think we have an answer.
Not the Rick and Morty.
No, the one above that. Or well, maybe not. Whoops, did I just give it
No.
away?
Yeah. What's this? What's this an homage to? Anyone who can guess what this is an homage to? Not Rick and Morty. I'll get you. I'll get you a book. What's the cover pic? I don't know what the cover pic is.
Do you have the photo ready?
I didn't. I had it last night. Oh,
I think I have it here.
oh, yeah. Larry's got it. We do have a winner. I got to write this down. Larry's gonna get the book.
Yeah, the Wasted Youth Flip,
Yeah.
and it
Oh
wasn't
no
even
no.
a Wasted Youth show. I think Ed told me it was at Perkins Palace.
Okay. Did you have an original there, or was it?
No, I had yeah, it's in a couple of places. Yeah, actually I do.
Yeah. You don't have to read
No,
it. It's on your blog.
it's on. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I got a kick out of that, seeing a Rick and Morty in that pose. So
Mm,
Larry got it of the guy. Yeah. So Larry, you're gonna have to find a way to get in touch with me. Email the BR page, Facebook page, and we'll find you. So that was, I was amazed. I want to talk about what you're working on next. I saw that you're working on a Lemonheads book after this, or currently.
That's that's true.
Um, and and I felt bad because I haven't listened to the Lemonheads since the '90s. So one thing, you go down these rabbit holes, and I was listening to a best of Lemonheads the other night, and it kind of took me back. I don't know if is it something that you're into? Is it the punk connection that got you into doing that project, or is there something else?
That was something that my agent put me in touch with Evan Dando, and
Okay.
we started talking, and we really hit it off. And I mean, the first three Lemonheads records on Tang are pretty punk rock,
Mm-hmm.
and then what he left the band and he joined the band with Juliana Hatfield, and then when he formed Lemonheads again is when they became more alternative and mellow singer songwriter kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but what I was really intrigued by Evan's stories. The guy has amazing stories, and
Really.
so that's
Is
a
he
lot of
still
fun.
on? Is he still on the East Coast still?
Yep, he's
Or is
in
he
Martha's Vineyard.
or Boston area? Yeah, I know they were Northeast band. So yeah, that'd be interesting. I actually want to give that one a
Yep,
look.
that one just happened. I'm working on another project that's under my own byline. That's not a collaboration, and I'll be announcing that hopefully before the end of the year. So
Awesome.
I'll
Yeah.
have that in my newsletter.
Yeah, and I didn't have that prepared. It was I think you have that the Substack website, Jay
Yeah, it's
Ruland.
called a Message from the Underworld,
Yeah,
and it's
message
a
from the
free
underworld.
weekly newsletter, and I'll be. It's the best way to keep track of all the different projects that I'm involved in.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I was wondering if since I was trying to pin down the timelines for when the book was written, like I was saying before. I was wondering if it's probably you had probably already finished the book, but I was wondering if there was like more you can write if they were still going on. COVID came and finished, but you were probably wrapped up with the book by the time.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The book was all wrapped up. I think right around before the release of Age of Unreason, and
Mm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, there. Then COVID happened, so we weren't able to do any book signings or book releases. They cut short their Age of Unreason tour. They weren't able to go to Europe like they do every summer, um, and who knows if we'll be able to do that again next summer.
Mm.
So I don't know what the plans are for the paperback. Usually, it's about a year after the release of the hardback.
Okay.
But hopefully there'll be live events when that happens.
Yeah, hopefully
Um,
they'll have those at the shows too. Who knows?
but rest assured, when they do start playing again, there'll be books available for to be signed.
All
There'll
right.
be some events.
Yeah, I really had a nice time chatting with you about this. Do you think who would you want to? What's your? I don't know. Do writers have dream projects, almost like
Oh, of
musicians? Where
course.
what would you like to leave off with as far as like I want to write this and I want to leave this behind. I want to leave this work behind. What would be your ideal
Oh well,
situation?
I'm gonna be a little coy and say I'm kind of working on the dream project right now, and
Okay.
it's about Southern California punk rock, so it kind of works in the same, almost like a trilogy with the Keith book and the Bad Religion book, and then this
Yeah.
book. Um,
With a forward by Bobby Scher.
right there, you go. But you know what? Yeah, I will say if I had like a dream project, like meaning one I don't have one, right? Like writing about Repo Man, I would love to write a book that's geeks out about every little detail about Repo Man, and
Yeah.
just because I would love to talk to all those people.
Yeah, yeah, that was a fun. That was an interesting flick. I haven't watched that in. I think it's available for free on YouTube if you want to watch it. But I haven't
Oh,
watched it in
probably.
years. Yeah. But hey, we got a couple. Yeah, we got our let's see. Larry gets a copy of Do What You Want, and Chester, I don't know what your name is, but get in touch with us on the Bad Religion page, and we'll get you a book, even though shipping to Argentina is going to be an arm and a leg. But that's okay. We'll love you anyway. But hey, Jim, thank you so much for your time. And I know it's a Saturday night and you've got other things you probably want to be doing. So I appreciate coming on as we wrap this up.
Yeah, it's funny. It's
And
been getting darker and dark. It was light out when I started the interview. Now it's dark in here. I apologize for that.
oh no, it's all good. I haven't seen the light of day all day today. I have my windows covered up to keep the light in this morning, and once this is done, I'm going to be stepping out, and I've lost the whole day, so it's all good. So,
Well,
but
I don't know if you've heard, but we have a new president, so it's a pretty fucking good day.
yeah, there will be some. Yeah, up here, it's going to be a pretty positive atmosphere in northern New Jersey for sure.
Mm.
So it's a solid blue line. So um, I'd be curious. Yeah, I gotta see what the vibe is once I step out. But hey, Jim, thank you so much for your time, and it was great talking to you and getting to learn about you and just learning a little bit. If your wheelings and dealings with the band, and I guess how these things come together. So it's good to
Yeah, it was
know.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and thanks to all the fans who bought the book. It's for you, and if you have any questions, you can always email me. You can just find me through my newsletter or through
Yep.
socials. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
Yep. Yeah, I really got a kick and enjoyed your blog posts. So I really would recommend that. So,
Well, thank you.
yep. Hey, thanks a lot, Jim. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you.